IVM.
The Paodcast is an IVM production, and if you enjoy listening to our show, you should definitely check out IVM Likes by the Indusbox Media staff. It's your weekly dose of pop culture recommendations, whether it's books, movies, or TV shows.
You're listening to the Paodcast, presented by the Daily Pao.
This is Pranati
Amit
and Purva, and we're from the Daily Pao, a Bombay-specific food and culture platform, and this is our weekly podcast,
The Paodcast.
Now, the reason we said the Paodcast together after a very long time is because this is our 100th episode.
Ooh.
Yay! And it is also our last episode for the near future. We're going to be taking a bit of a break. This episode is an installment of Bombay Binge in which we talk about food in the city, and we're going to be giving you a heads up on all the new restaurants that are opening in Bombay. So stay tuned for Bombay Binge.
Hi, I'm Ambika.
I'm Hoshna. Over the last couple of years during our travels across India, we've had the privilege to meet and interact with a number of passionate people who are involved in preservation or conservation of a local heritage, art form or culture, or even environment and wildlife.
So in this season, we shine a light on some of these individuals and organizations and the work they are doing, many of whom are using travel as a means to give back to their communities.
By showcasing these wonderful people and bringing their work to a larger audience, it's our small way of aiding their effort and giving you an opportunity to be part of a unique travel experience. New episodes of the Rediscovery Podcast out every Monday on IVM Podcasts.
Bombay Binge.
So this episode is an installment of Bombay Binge in which we talk about food in the city, and we're going to be talking about all the new restaurants that you can look forward to in 2018.
And the reason why we've chosen this for our 100th episode and possibly last episode is because it's been one of the most popular sort of themes that we've run over the past couple of years. I think we did this in 2016 and in 2017. Restaurants to look forward to is always very popular, both on our website and on the podcast.
Yeah, and we've got a bumper list of restaurants which will keep you going for many, many months.
A lot of them have actually already opened. Jan has been, it's a super busy month for openings, like every year. But we're going to start with the year's biggest or most anticipated openings. I think on the top of that list is undoubtedly Ministry of Crab. It's been in the news already. You may have already...
It's been in
everywhere.
Mumbai Mirror's page 2 at least 3 times, if not more.
Yeah, so if you're, familiar at all with Sri Lanka, you'll know that it's Colombo's most popular restaurant.
It's one of the best restaurants in the world, in Asia actually,
Yeah,
according
it
to the
features on
Asia's Best
Asia's
Restaurants
50
list.
best restaurant list, and I haven't eaten there yet. I don't know about any of either
I
of
have
you.
eaten there.
But yeah,
it's pretty good. I mean, I'm actually not super big on seafood, so I'm probably not the best person to judge it. But yeah, it is pretty good.
So the restaurant, for those of you who may not know, is owned by a chef called Darshan Munidasa, and he co-owns it with cricketers Kumara Sangakkara and Mahela Jayawardene. And Ministry is being brought down here by Gourmet Investments, which is the company that runs the Pizza Express chain. And the Pizza Express chain also has launched some sort of a sister brand, which are the projects.
They're
Express.
hyper-local
Yeah,
restaurants. I don't know how they're calling them hyper-local, but for instance, they've done the Bandra project, which is themed around Bandra, but they've
Right.
also got something called the Runway project in
Which is
Lower
in
Parel,
Lower Parel, yeah.
in Phoenix Mills.
Yeah.
I suppose because they're in a mall, they're calling this the
Yeah, and
fashion.
it's surrounded by
yeah.
clothes stores.
Well, yeah,
Right, so
it's-
they've got it down, and you can expect Ministry of Crab signature dishes like the black pepper crab and the chili crab. We don't yet know the location of the restaurant. They're yet to finalize that, so people are sort of waiting
But
for
they've
that
said
announcement.
June is around when they're going to open, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and what they've said so far in the press is that they're going to be sourcing local seafood. They're not going to be importing anything, or largely not importing. So, it may not taste exactly the same as it tastes in Sri Lanka, because, I mean, the crab that you get here may not be the same as the crab that you get there. But whatever, it's all about the flavor and, their methods. So, yeah, people are definitely looking forward to that.
Then there's Ananda Solomon, who is the former executive chef of Vivanta by Taj President in Cuff Parade. He retired after a 25-year stint there, and he's scouting for a venue for his first standalone. So he's basically going the way of his chef contemporary Hemant Oberoi, who launched his first standalone fine dining last year. And what we know so far is that Solomon's restaurant will have a mix of Thai, Italian and Konkani fare, and this is also because this is the food he sort of championed at the Taj.
Right, with Thai Pavilion and Konkan Cafe.
And Trattoria.
And
Yeah.
Trattoria.
Yeah, so he's actually
So
combining
basically,
the
the
three
menu is
in
going to
this
be his
restaurant.
greatest hits, pretty much like how
Yeah,
Hemant Oberoi
I kind
did.
of wish it wasn't, though.
Yeah, I
because,
wish he'd chosen
Yeah.
either one. Maybe Konkan would be a great
Yeah, because
pick.
this kind of sounds like a multi-cuisine place.
It
It's
is.
3 cuisines, but
It
it sounds
is.
like multi-cuisine, which has,
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
bad...
but I think in this way he's also avoiding kind of people saying, oh, you've just copied one of the other like Taj establishments and replicated it. Now he's doing his personal, whatever, best of.
Yeah.
Right.
Another chef who is gonna have his own standalone is Rahul Akerkar. Now, this has also been in the news for a couple of years now. I think there has been a lot of speculation about what Akerkar would do post his post-parting with De Gustavus Hospitality, which is what he started when he set up Indigo.
And he had a non-compete clause for many years, so
Yeah.
it's finally over.
Yeah, and all I know, what I kept track of Akerkar was that he's been traveling a fair bit. So Akerkar mentioned that it's going to be a Mediterranean-inspired restaurant. We also know that it's going to be in Low Parel at the Lodha World 1, and it's going to be sprawled over 4,000 square feet, and it's being designed by Kapil Gupta, who has designed Tote on the Turf in Mahalakshmi Racecourse, and he also
He also did
worked
Blue
on Blue
Frog.
Frog, yeah. Before it closed down. So, according to Architectural Digest, some of the dishes on his menu are roasted pork belly with pickled baby root vegetables, creamed green apple, shukrut, and mustard bourguignon sauce. There's also pan-roasted mackerel with charred cauliflower puree, caramelized fennel, and salsa verde with capers, mint, and preserved lemon. So Akerkar's place is expected to open around May or May end is what he said.
And then De Gustavus Hospitality, the company that Akerkar founded and then he parted ways from 2 years ago, is going to be opening Neil, which is a chain of Indian restaurants. Neil, when it started, served Avdi cuisine, focused on Avdi cuisine, and it has since then expanded its menu. And they serve things like squid sukka, samosa curry, meen moili, ratalu tikki, and even a bento-style thali. And
So Neil is opening in Nariman Point.
That's right.
And
Nariman Point's also recently where De Gustavus has opened up a food court. They've taken over the food court there where we used to be near the Inox there, and so they're coming up with a couple of new concepts for that. One is, I think...
So they've rebranded the food court. They call it 11 now.
Oh, okay.
And in among those 11 restaurants, they have 2, which is the Indigo Burger Project, which sounds pretty exciting.
Yeah, that sounds like the most exciting thing on their list.
So basically a quick service stop where you can pick up stuff like Sloppy Joe Burger with Old Monk infused chicken. There's the Kolhapuri burger, crunchy burger with cottage cheese. And they're also opening something called Dakshin Rasoi, which is basically South Indian with a little bit of a twist. There's, you can expect dishes like the morel dosa with porcini and chestnut ragu. There's green garlic dosa with tofu, bok choy, peanuts, and basil pesto. And they also offer a basil dosa with corn and ratatouille.
I'm actually quite excited about this.
This Dakshin Rasoi?
Yeah, because I'm a fan of dosa and...
this sounds highly fusion though.
Yeah,
It
this
does
is
sound
very
highly fusion.
This sounds
But
like
you
one
know what?
that
If you-
place in like Vashi or something that's like 101 dosas.
Yeah,
Every
but
possible
if you
permutation and
put,
combination.
You can put pretty much anything into
Yeah,
a
'cause it's a
dosa.
crepe, I
because
agree.
it's a crepe and
Right.
it'll taste pretty good.
Yeah, so...
And De Gustavus isn't done. They're going to be opening Indigo Delhi in Juhu, which already has 11 branches. They're going to be opening in Juhu, and this one's going to have a live tapper station and a bar. A bar is a pretty new thing for Indigo Delhi, so that's
Yeah,
something
I
to
mean, they
look
serve
forward to.
alcohol at all the restaurants, but they don't have a bar.
Yeah, I mean that's what they've done with Tote, right? Tote is like the only bar they've got, and Indigo is sort of like a bar restaurant hybrid. Yeah, and another bar restaurant is Olive, and they are the group that runs that. AD Singh, he also has a pretty packed year ahead.
Yeah, so what Olive is doing is that they're working on a sub-brand which is going to be sort of focused on creating a chain of cafes is all we know for now, and the cafe will first launch in Delhi and then come to Bombay. This is all towards the end of the year, and they're also sort of expanding Hello Guppy in Bombay. Guppy is like their casual dining Japanese restaurant in BKC, and that's coming to South Bombay, and so is Soda Bottle Opener Wala, which is their Parsi restaurant, but it's not going to be called Soda Bottle Opener Wala. It's going to be like a sub-brand of Soda Bottle Opener Wala. So these are the few bare details we have about.
And that's going to open in South Bombay also, where they just opened actually Soda Bottle Opener Wala.
I mean, they just opened in Phoenix Mills.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, continuing with the Olive group, they shut down their the branch in Mahalakshmi last year, and that's already been replaced. It's one of the restaurants that's already opened. It's called Kiba, and this is a Southeast Asian restaurant which has got it's got 4 partners, and 2 of them have opened other restaurants. Niti Goyal has something called Masala Diaries in Bandra. It's a vegetarian South Indian restaurant, and then there's Suren Joshi, who runs Sukasa, which again is this popular, it's in Bandra Reclamation. It's popular both as a bar and as a restaurant.
Yeah, he's also the owner of the I Think Fitness.
He's also the owner of
Cafe and chain.
the I Think Fitness Cafe and Gym. And Sukasa does sort of like Mediterranean fare, right?
Yes.
But what's really exciting about Kiba is that it's got Sifa Kechayo and Karan Bane. And they're the chef and co-owners of The Blue, which is a really cool, Thai and Japanese restaurant in Bandra. They do great food, and these guys are going to be, behind the kitchen at Kiba.
Well, they actually consult. The train of chefs at Kiba trained under
them.
Sifa and Bane.
Okay.
So still exciting because their food
their food is so good and it's so consistent.
Yeah. So that's Kiba. It's already opened, like we mentioned. Another replacement. Talking about replacements, Ellipsis in Colaba has been replaced by something called the Urban Foundry, which is a spot from Pune, and it's like an upscale Indian restaurant. So in Pune, it's primarily an Indian restaurant, but here they've expanded the menu to include Southeast Asian dishes, and they have like a pretty sort of lavish bar as well, so to keep up the sort of split level space that Ellipsis had.
Yeah, and speaking of bars, something to get excited about, and also, I mean, not an exact replacement, but more like a takeover, Bombay Vintage in Colaba, which is kind of like a Jing spot, because before that it was something called Culture Curry, which actually did some pretty decent seafood. But like, it hasn't really had a great run. But they've got the guys from Neighborhood Hospitality have basically taken it over. The Neighborhood runs Woodside and Pantry. And I think if anybody can revive this spot, it's them.
Yeah, it's actually just something to watch out for. I'm interested in what they're going to do, because it's their first sort of shot at Indian dining, So they have the Pantry, they have Woodside, and both of them have pretty much Conti fare. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. What we do know that it's because it's an ode to Bombay, they're going to sort of offer a lot of the cuisines that are popular here. So you can expect like a bit of Malwani, a bit of Parsi food on that menu. So yeah, definitely Bombay Vintage is one to look out for.
And the other Indian restaurant that's going to open is Porto and Poi at the Royal Garden Hotel in Juhu. And the man behind this is Gratian D'Souza, who used to be the chef at Impresario Hospitality, the company that owns the social chain of bars and restaurants as well as Saltwater Cafe. And this is going to offer Goan and Portuguese-inspired food, so you can expect Goan sorpatel, kafrial, vindaloo, rechad, jacuti, and Portuguese items such as feijoada, cabidela, etc., etc.
Do you want to just tell people what those are? Veggie vada is a pork and bean stew, which somebody in Bandra makes apparently. I remember us writing about this. And kabidela, which is a chicken and offal stew. It's interesting that Goan food is suddenly having its moment after O Pedro, which is opened by the Bombay Canteen guys. Yeah.
And the other Indian restaurant is Umrao, which is at the Courtyard by Marriott in Andheri East. And this is a modern Indian restaurant that will serve pre-plated food inspired by Awadhi cuisine. And it's being led by the former chef of Neil, the Degastapus restaurant that was famous for serving Awadhi food.
Which we mentioned a little earlier.
Speaking about, 5-star restaurants, Jamjoji. Now, if you're familiar with the Bandra dining scape, Jamjoji used to be like this really cute, small Parsi restaurant at Bandra Reclamation. And I really liked it. One of Bandra's few and only before soda bottle opener wala open
Parsi
BKC.
restaurants.
Yeah. So Jamjoji shut down unexpectedly, and what I've heard is that they're soon going to reopen at the JW Marriott in Sahar, at the Sahar airport, and so it's by the same owners, but obviously we can expect like a larger scale and maybe an expanded menu.
And hopefully it'll last.
Yeah, it's a new thing for a Parsi restaurant to open inside a hotel. Actually,
and like
so
something that wasn't actually like a fine dining space. It was pretty much like a very homely
very
kind
home
of
style family
home-
dining.
Yeah,
scene.
it's
Yeah.
totally changed. Not much. We've not really talked about the bar scene, but there's something coming up in Khar called the Loony, the Lover, and the Poet.
Yeah, it's an interesting name, I have to say. I was
and
intrigued
it's
when I
gonna
read
be-
it.
In fact, it's going to be a 3,000 square feet breakfast spot, but it transitions into a bar at
Yeah.
night or in
This
the
is a very
evening.
Barcelona concept. Barcelona has a lot of, and it. In fact, I remember saying when I was in Barcelona that if I ever open something of my own, it'll be a breakfast spot that transitions into a bar, because then you can siesta in the afternoon and then just come back in the evening and
Sure.
serve drinks.
Yeah, and here it's gonna actually serve craft brews by Puna's Moonshine Meadery and Great State Ale Works, and also Bombay Duck Brewing from Bombay, which is supposed to
Which is a brewery that
has been around, has been doing the small sort of events.
Yeah, and they will officially open soon. We don't have a confirmation on when yet, but from what we've tried of Bombay Duck and Great State, they're both very promising breweries. And like I said, the concept sounds unique enough to get our attention. There's also, speaking just about a bar concept, there's something called Goya, which is slated to open in Baikala East next month, which is Feb. And Goya is going to be like a 70-seat space which will serve small world plates. And it's being set up by Siddharth Somaya, who ran the Bauhaus company, which was a Bao sandwich delivery service in Colaba. Really good. It's unfortunate that it's closed. And Somaya has partnered with Mariki Silas. I'm not sure if we're pronouncing her name correctly, but she's a mixologist from New York who worked at Le Bernardin, which is like sort of a Michelin awarded French restaurant from New York. And at Goya, they have something that they're calling an interactive bar, and it's going to have a cocktail-centric menu. And interestingly, Somaya will be making his own breads and sauces and tofu, basically a whole list of ingredients that they then plan to retail from the restaurant. Also, it's an interesting location for the restaurant.
Yeah, Baikala East. It's pretty surprising that they've chosen
But
that.
there really aren't too many, these
there was
fancy
something
restaurants.
called
It's a bit of a
Lionheart
risk.
that opened
Yeah,
opposite.
but I think Lionheart is still around, but I don't think definitely it's not in the same league.
Yeah, and this Goya is a multi-cuisine restaurant, and that's been a trend that has been very popular.
Yeah, well,
Everybody
they prefer to euphemize this and say world plates.
world plates, so just another way of saying multi-cuisine. And I think that, there's been no getting away from this. Everybody has been like following this trend because it's just offering people as many possible things as you can, sort of hedging your bets. And similarly, there's something called Treats of the World that's going to open in Thane at the end of this month. May have already opened by the time our podcast is out, and it's going to open at Kemp's Corner in a little bit later. But this is owned by the guys who run the popular vegetarian restaurant called 29. Now, 29, I believe, Prawn, you've been there, right? It serves dishes from the 29 states.
Yeah.
That's right,
In
and
India.
it's very popular in the area, which has a lot of vegetarians.
Yeah.
I've been there, and to be honest, I found it pretty mediocre, but it's got a lot of takers.
Yeah, it's very popular. I just wonder if they suddenly add another state, whether they're going to change their name, because that's constantly happening. Well, they are going to open Treats of the World. Now, Treats of the World, as the name suggests, is going to specialize in desserts. It's going to be a multi-cuisine menu, though, and it will have food from over 35 countries. So I don't know how come. Well, they couldn't possibly do all 200 plus countries that are there in the world, but they're going to do, like we said, specialize in desserts, and they're all going to be egg and gelatin free. So it is a
Exciting.
safe restaurant.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be going there.
Anyway, this is what you can get there should you choose to go. Egyptian basbousa,
Yes.
Russian medovik,
Y'all can Google these items.
and this one is easy, fried Mars bars. It
That
sounds
is
completely
something-
gross.
No, I've eaten it. I've had. It's a popular sort of London.
Is it a hangover snack?
What do you
or
call?
something
You know,
like
when you
that?
go to sort of Brighton to the fair.
Yeah.
It's a
It
popular
is very
fair
popular,
treat,
but it
you
just
know,
sounds
so-
really
It's like-
disgusting.
yeah.
Sadly, Treats of the World isn't the only multi-cuisine restaurant on our list. There's also the weirdly named Rezo, and this is spelled Hrezzo, and this is in Ghatkopar. It's a new vegetarian restaurant.
Not surprised that it's vegetarian.
Yeah, exactly. And it's spread over 5,000 square feet. It's got an alfresco space and a couple of dining rooms. And it has stuff like zucchini salad, mushroom galotti, and mapo tofu.
You know, it's a nice looking space, and I feel like, you know, given the popularity of restaurants in that R City Mall, I think that Rezo actually has.
This is an R City Mall, is it?
No.
Oh, okay. So we've been really crisscrossing the city from Colaba to Khar, from Juhu to Thane to Ghatkopar, and now finally we go to a place that belongs to no one, the sea.
What do you mean it belongs to no one?
And everyone. Suddenly we've got like, we had Susie Wong all those years ago, and then that sort of closed down, but we've got another sort of restaurant in the sea. We've had AB Celestial, which opened a little while ago, sometime last year, and now Arc Deccan Bar opened a little while ago, I think last week. Now this is another floating restaurant. It serves European fare, stuff like, you know, rosemary and vanilla grouper, spinach ricotta cigars, steamed lotus snapper, Shiraz braised goat shanks. The menu sounds a bit generic, but like I think the experience, everybody just likes the experience of being out in the sea in this city. And to get to this, to get to the restaurant, you need to take a speedboat from near the Bandra Worli Sealing Jetty.
Yeah, and they also said that they're going to have like an in-house DJ and a lot of, they hope to host a lot of private
I
parties
think that's what's
here.
going to happen with this
You
place.
know, and the boat's going to have like 2 LED lights to announce it. So, I don't know. I think maybe we should plan an outing to Arc Deccan Bar. It sounds...
Well, technically, I guess we can say that Arc Deccan Bar is a Bandra restaurant.
Yeah, because it's on our side of the sea link. So, another restaurant in Bandra, actually, speaking of Arc, I was reminded of Jacqueline Fernandez's new place, which has been Vogue announced that she will be opening a restaurant. She's partnering with Mishali Sanghani, who also runs Pali Village Cafe and Pali Bhavan, both in the Pali Naka area in Bandra. And this is going to be a Thai restaurant. We know that it's designed by Ashish Shah, who is like the architect to the celebrities. It was meant to open late last year, but obviously that's been delayed and we don't have a confirmation on what month. But yeah, this is something to look out for because that is a very popular dining street in Bandra.
Yeah, and speaking of places that were supposed to open last year, there's also another Thai place which we talked about actually, I think on the last time we did this episode, exactly, I mean a little over a year ago, a place called Mango Tree, which is supposed to open in Horizon Hotel in Juhu. Now this is a property from, I mean, it's all over the world. It's in Hong Kong, it's in London, and it's in Dubai.
Yeah, it's originally a restaurant from London.
Okay.
And, you know, they say it's casual dining, but it's in a hotel and it's going to be over 3,000, spread over 3,000 square feet. And it's been designed by Black Sheep, which is like this UK design firm that, you know, their work, you'll be familiar with some of their work, the Wagamama chain, the Mandarin Oriental, and Jamie's Italian in London are some of of their projects.
Yeah. And Jamie's Italian, of course, is one of, I think, the restaurants that were a bit of a disappointment last year. Another hyped opening that happened. And we've actually not seen any branches from them, surprisingly. But, Mango Tree's slated to open around April, around when Kala Ghoda will get another restaurant. This is something called Rue de Liban. It's going to specialize in Levantine fare. And this will be run by the same guys who own Gustoso, which is a pizza chain that's in Bandra and Kemp's Corner. So that's a pretty whopping list. And but we should also mention a couple of places that have opened this year already. We're at the end of the month, and we've already got a couple of big openings. One of which has been Kitchen Garden opening in BKC. Now, Kitchen Garden is run by the folks who run Suzette. It's another popular place. It's
Bandra's favorite salad and smoothie bar. And they've opened in BKC in Maker Mac City. Similar menu, like an expanded menu is what I've heard. Really nice looking space, a lot of potted plants, similar sort of aesthetic. And I guess the crowd will be really different because here you get a lot of the gym, fitness, the good looking model crowd, and there it's going to be
office crowd. Yeah.
So interesting that they chose BKC. We can't end this list without mentioning the wine rack, which is it opened in Phoenix Mills. It's by a Delhi-based restaurateur called Ashish Dev Kapoor, and
he runs places like Yo China, the wine company, and Antares, which he co-owns, I think, with Sarah Todd, who
in Goa.
In Goa,
Antares
she's the former
Goa.
MasterChef consultant.
Right. In fact, Sarah Todd has also drafted the menu at the wine rack. Again, it's like multi-cuisine. She's got stuff like smoked pork chops, Kolhapuri Ran, snapper ceviche, and Bangkok-style sev puri.
I wonder what that is. But this place is specializes in wine, and they have a wine shop, and they've got over 300 labels, which they
wine shop within the restaurant.
Within a restaurant, they're going to retail them at wholesale prices. So I suppose that's a big
and they encourage
incentive.
you to order by the bottle, not by the glass.
Yeah, it's a really interesting looking space, but very nice looking space. But let's see how it sort of works out in the Phoenix Mills area.
It's also in a kind of jing spot in Phoenix Mills.
Yeah.
One of those places a lot of places have opened there, and I think have shut. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so that's our list of openings for 2018.
It's a huge list.
And it's enough to keep you going since this is our last episode.
So you can listen to it many times.
Yeah, just bookmark this one because... and maybe some of this will get you hungry. We've already told you what the big ones are at the start of the episode. Yeah.
So that's it from Pranati,
Purva,
and Amit.
And maybe we'll be back soon with another podcast someday. Who knows? Meanwhile, keep following us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We're The Daily Pao.
As you can see, we have a podcast listener in his natural habitat. Millions of years of evolution have led him to this point. He's on his way to work, and listening to podcasts makes his miserable day better. He will now head to work and use all his knowledge to communicate with other colleagues and possibly future mates. You can find more of his species on ivmpodcasts.com, your one-stop destination where you can check out all the coolest Indian podcasts. Happy listening.